my God, I'm so excited. I have coffee. Actually, it's espresso. I'm tired. I have a slight headache, but I really wanted to talk to you today. This episode is about the soul yoga journey that we've been on. And I have been promised from Spirit there's going to be a little bit of information that I should, be ready for. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, what are they up to? Anyway, thanks for tuning in.
Hello, and welcome to the Constance Messmer Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in.
I should take off my bracelets. I think they're very bangles. It's probably why the word bangles is a thing. You're going to go over there. Uh-oh, my feet are getting hot. We know about that. Like, oh gosh, the light is coursing through. So random, right? Not really. Oh my gosh. What is, come on, guys. Okay. I gotta get all cozy in my chair. For those of you listening on audio podcasts, you're like, what the heck is Constance doing? She's got her espresso. She's trying to figure out her feet. My feet are so hot. So for the past 12 weeks, right, we've been exploring your 12 chakras to help you realize the chakras are all about an expression of you in this incarnation. Oh, here comes Spirit. Oh my God, don't make me cry. Your chakras are repositories of soul information. Oh my God, I'm going to cry. And when I used to do spirit work with people that would come in for Reiki energy balancing, and I would work on balancing the chakras, and I realized that some of the imbalances were due to experiences that happened to them and for them and at them. And I realized that sometimes I could heal the imbalance silently, just like that. But there were other times when I had to reveal the story that was held in the chakra, kind of like looking in a deep cave, right? So if you've picked up soul yoga, thank you. It uses that splunking kind of metaphor for looking in the chakras to see what's there, and what's keeping you from the light, which is what God told me I would do, help people see what's keeping them from the light, their light, your light. So in those Reiki experiences and healing sessions, I realized when I shared the story with them, it would lift more profoundly, and then they were able to really shine in those themes and categories that the chakras represent. And then there were other times that I had to regress people back to the experience that maybe energetically discombobulated that chakra, and that was always fun, regressing people. Maybe I'll do like this. I wonder if I could do like a massive regression, like an episode that's a regression. I used to do phone sessions that were regressions. I bet I could. Spirit saying, do you want to? Like a whole series on Akashic records and splunking into lifetimes. I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Can we do that next? God, look at me. I'm letting you in on my brain. Espresso shot. Thank you for the coffee for Constance and my members that contribute to keep me in espresso and this content. Thank you. So I've have this, my folder with my 12 chakra series stuff ended because I was only going to do the intro and the 12 chakras, but Spirit's like, we got to do a wrap up. I'm like, oh God, I forgot we have to do a wrap up. But when you sit there and you think the 12 weeks that we've gone through have really been an invitation for you to understand your soul expression in these various spaces, these various categories of each chakra, right? So that you could consider what is your true self? What is your true nature? Beyond and inclusive of those moments in life that can kind of rumple your feathers or take you back. I think I told you I was teaching this Reiki class once, and there was this young man, all his chakras were spinning vibrantly and beautifully. He was in high school. I was like, wow. It never felt it like that on anyone. Like he was really kind of a pure soul. It was cool. Wonder how he is now. But anyway, the journey has been to help you encounter this deeper connection with yourself, which is what the book is about. It's really an invitation to get to know yourself and embody your true self more, right? To look what might be stored in each chakra. And so we've gone through your earth chakra and your earth connection and your sense of safety in the root chakra is your sense of safety, right? Food, shelter, clothing, basic needs being met. And then we move to your sacral chakra. Do you see me pausing? It's because I think I'm going to be pulled out of body. Maybe. Anyway, your sacral chakra, which has to do with relationships, sexual issues, creativity, new beginnings. Then we moved into solar plexus chakra, personal power, self-esteem, who you are, what you came to do. And the heart chakra, love given and loved received. And then we moved into throat chakra, communication issues, trust issues, speaking your truth. And then we moved into brow chakra, intellect and intuition, and crown chakra, more of like your knowing kind of, and this experience where claircognizance is, this knowing that you can't put your finger on it. It's claircognizance. It doesn't come through the other 10 soul senses. It's just this deep knowing. And that's really when you're connected to your crown chakra, but also the gifts that happen beyond that. The crown chakra to me is a gateway to higher consciousness. So the upper chakras I relate to more as consciousness, levels of consciousness, like your higher self, which is spiritual development, really connecting. And by spiritual, I don't mean religious. I mean, although it could be that, but it's really about your ability to connect with other realms of spirit and communicate, but live from this place of higher knowing and higher awareness. That's not so egocentric, right? Don't we need more of that consistency? Listen, I'm not consistently there. I dip in and out of these places like most others, right? I think it's because I have a family, have a life, have this career. Otherwise, I would definitely be the mystic monk on the mountaintop. God, I would just love that and vibing out the energy of of it all instead of translating it to words. And then there's the karmic chakra beyond the higher self. There's the karmic chakra for karmic knowing. I spoke to you how that's really more to me about choices, but about this, kind of this, you did that, so now try this, this, I think it is kind of opposites, but it's really choices to me. But I do feel we reap benefits, and we also have to learn some tricky things if we've done some tricky things, but it doesn't mean our whole life has to be tricky because of it. I know I've lived some pretty interesting, colorful lifetimes that I'm not proud to say. It was hard to come to grips with what I've done when I was not so aware, right? But then it means that I have a lot more to help. I have to help more. But I think the karmic chakra and the karmic knowing is more for choices in your life, right? No time like the present. And then the cosmic chakra is the cosmic interconnectedness. I can't wait to talk to you more about that. Oh my God. And then finally, divine consciousness, the divine chakra, really that connection to God, Goddess, source energy, all that is, great spirit, many names, all one. And how we're all capable of tapping into all these realms and levels of consciousness. And often they're coming to us as awarenesses and knowings and connection and relationship so that we might be our best possible self. Soul yoga is using your 12 chakras to reach your highest potential. Oh my God. Like all my work, it comes through me. Some of it's from me, but a lot of it's through me. And like I've told you before, you wouldn't necessarily know I'm channeling because I don't do unconscious channel. I do conscious channel. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see I'm really trying to hold back the tears.
I'm grateful for you listening and watching and learning and incorporating this work to embody higher levels of your own consciousness and your own self. I think life is about experiences and finding joy and participation and service. You know, it doesn't mean you don't get paid. It just means you recognize your gifts and don't hide them. Don't bury your talents, but to use them. If I look back over the 12 weeks, I have many favorites among the episodes. I do like the cosmic one where I went into the fact that this whole, culture of loneliness is very sad to me. It's very sad to me. So I'm hoping in that episode, I was encouraging you to make connections, get out of your comfort zone, and interact with others in ways that might benefit you, but really, you'll touch lives. You'll transform lives. It's about being in the flow, right? I also think I loved the throat chakra episode. It's really important that you understand that the throat chakra is near the heart chakra. And speaking your truth is really important. That's how you become your authentic self, your true self. It's your connection to your core consciousness, your profound being. I'm definitely in the weeks ahead. I keep asking Spirit, like my team is like, what's the next theme? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't sat down with my board yet. Like, not like my board of advisors from Spirit Realm. I know I feel like they're going to extrapolate on some of the wisdom that the chakras carry. I really feel like it's a bit of understanding energy on greater levels that I might address in the future, and energy management. That's going to be important in the times ahead, even though I'm like, listen, I struggle with that. How can I teach what I struggle? And they're like, well, you can listen too. That's usually what they do. That's usually my path. Can I tell you that? Like sometimes I show up and I teach and so much of it's channeled. Spirit's like, listen up, Constance, this is for you too. And I'm just like, wow, you floor me, But I never would have learned it if I didn't show up. And so I hope the 12 weeks have taught you about showing up for yourself and showing up in your world in a more profound way so that you can understand yourself on a deep level. In the book Soul Yoga, it talks about, kind of like going into these caves. I use the reference lightly because when I was young, I loved we have caves near my hometown, Makokata caves. They're fabulous. And I just loved them. Makokata caves. And I also loved any kind of adventure. We'd go on walks in the evening. We'd call them bear hunts, but we weren't hunting bears, We were just walking under the stars, jumping at every little noise of nature in the woods. And I loved stuff like that. I love a good adventure. And I love going to new countries. Maybe you do too. New cities, new experiences, meeting new people, and exploring outside of myself what's going on in the world. But truly, I do get that whole greatest journey is within. But I know also the outside world is a reflection of our inner self. And so I hope that the work in Soul Yoga has also been teaching you to pay attention to your interactions, to recognize what has you. I don't want to say closing down your chakras. I don't like that, but kind of, I think I did tell you at one point, it is like, I love the imagery of the chakras being like lotus flowers. And we have experiences that can be uncomfortable. And it's like we close in some of the petals. I think somewhere I have an open heart meditation. Isn't that on one of my episodes where it's really this opening up, like the imagery of the flower petals of the heart so that you can coexist in your world and for yourself with an open heart and an open mind. These are really important, right? To help you engage in these greater spaces and parts of yourself. It's where the magic happens. And so when I relate, as the ancient texts, that the chakras to lotus flowers and keeping your chakras open and realizing those moments that are upsetting and we would rather kind of turtle in and be in our own shell, or kind of taking a social sabbatical. I know you need to know those moments when you have to have a break, go inside, replenish, refresh, reinvigorate, be there for yourself, show up for yourself. This happens throughout, countless moments in our life. But even in those spaces, remembering to keep those energy centers open and recognizing when you're feeling like, something's off in my work. Maybe I've lost my passion. What chakra might I go into? Well, personal power, self-esteem, who you are, what you came to do would be a good one, your solar plexus. Or, if you're feeling misaligned also in any part of joy, definitely go in the heart. What's feeding your soul? What's not feeding your soul? Remember that episode that I talked about doing a life audit?
Which one was that in? I don't even know. Like, I'd have to go back and watch the series of the 12 chakras to go,
oh, the life audit was somewhere. Take that pause to go, how do I return to joy? How do I return to knowing? This is you talking. How do you return to joy and your power and your magic and your connection? And that was the goal of these 12 weeks and the 12 chakras, a relook. Because, I've been through them before years ago, but I just wanted to give them to you in a new way, especially because I came out with the book Soul Yoga. That book,
I told you, I thought it was just going to take a couple weeks because it was based on this,
material that I would present to my Reiki students. But they kept asking for, can you put all the pieces that you lecture to us about, or, can you put all of those in a book somehow and give us a book? And so that's what I did. It took a long time. I think it was like 2 years almost to put that together. Like, I had no idea. Because, I do everything. I do other things too. It wasn't just full on working on that book. But it's been 30 years coming because of all the information that I've garnered within this lifetime. But much like yourself, I'm sure it comes from countless lifetimes. And so this is what happens. I'm, constantly working on another book, another piece of material, because I want to get everything from what I know and in my head to you and in your hands to empower you. That's my mission. I know that. I know that. And I don't work alone, and I know you don't work alone. And so I'm hoping that you begin to trust the guidance, begin to trust your knowing that when you source where things could be better in your life or where you want things differently, that you'll use the reference book that the book Soul Yoga is, or these videos are, to go back and say, let me ponder some of the things that came up for me when I was watching that or reading that chapter, or reading that section. Let me look deeper into this energy center and see what this information that's stored there might be trying to offer, right?
Spirit's like, you're a work in progress. And I said, did you say I'm a work in progress or we're a work in progress? Because we're having a convo here. And it's all of us, right? We're a work in progress. Yeah, that's for sure.
And as a collective we are, but I know you know this. It's the 100th monkey. If enough of us vibe and heal, then consciousness will start shifting. Plus, it's also the awareness of the information out there will help people understand, these higher levels of awareness, experience, existence, and hopefully allow it to transform their hearts and minds, for the good of all, in it for the highest and best good for all, not just one. But I do want you to know that when you start doing what your heart is calling you to do, what your soul knows that you're meant to do, you vibrate at a different frequency, and you can have incredible, miraculous healings throughout your whole energy system, throughout your whole chakra system. It's pretty powerful. I've seen it on my table. I've seen it in my own life. And I think I did an episode a long time ago. I don't remember what it was called, but it was where I said, you could either fix the story, like listen to the story that's stored in the chakra that has it out of balance, or you can understand what the core issue is and start living differently. Like, start living differently, and that will clean up the past. Step into your power now, step into your truth now, step into the new you now. When I was young, I always wished I had come into this incarnation with an owner's manual for my life. What I didn't realize is that I did have one. I had one. You have one too. I think we spend so much of our time trying to figure out our lives, and most of us don't realize we already have this owner's manual, this map, a map that guides us through and into our fullest potential. This is why I wrote my collection, Soul Yoga. I offer you a book using your 12 chakras as a map to reaching your highest potential, a Soul Yoga companion journal documenting your 12 chakra journey, and Soul Yoga inspiration cards for your soul whisperings of your 12 chakras. Because your chakras aren't just energy centers. They are repositories of soul information, your wisdom, your soul memories, vows, promises you made to yourself prior to this incarnation. And in Soul Yoga, I walk you through your 12 chakras from your earth chakra to your divine chakra to help you unravel, uncover, and chart your journey. This book, companion journal, and inspiration card deck are to promote and guide you to your fullest potential. This collection is not about finding yourself. It's about remembering who you are and why you're here. To get your copy of any of these, visit my shop at my website, constancemessmer.com. I mostly wrote Soul Yoga because I will use that material in future lessons more than you realize. My two pillars in my work, Spirit's cautioning me from saying two, but two of the pillars in my work are the 11 soul senses framework and your 12 chakras, the Soul Yoga book. We'll use a lot of those going forward. If you're just joining me, my work is consecutive. The lessons are consecutive. They build one upon the other. So a lot of people binge watch the past episodes. Now there's lots. I don't even know how many. But that's the thing. I have so much content in my head that I have to get out. So I definitely will be writing more books, and I'll be teaching you more things with more themes or topics that are relatable and helpful, I hope. And if there's some stuff you'd like to know more about, go through the playlist. Make sure it's not there first. If it's not there, then reach out to me, hit a comment to this episode and tell me what you'd like to know more of, maybe where you're struggling. And I could see what I have in the repertoire from Spirit to offer more insight for you. I am always going to encourage you to close your eyes, put your hands on your heart, and source your wise self for information. That's really what my work is, to empower you to live your best life possible, really. And so Soul Yoga, the book, brings kind of the journey of your life as a soul in this incarnation, tapping into some other stuff. Because when you get into the chakras, you realize we carry information from other lifetimes. Even though I might go to the karmic chakra when I'm working on someone or working in my own awareness, even though that's where I know many lifetimes are stored, we also store them within the particular chakra that the experience relates to. And so if you're a practitioner, that's good to know if you're doing hands-on healing or any kind of body energy work healing, and kind of looking in those spaces for some kind of chronic condition that won't clear, look to the past life. Actually, also too, because I really want to teach you about time. I know a lot of weird shit about time. You can also look to the future that could be setting things up to be in the right space at the right time. And it's stored in the chakra that's going to be revealed later on down the line. It's really, the more I do this work, the more I go, this stuff's weird. This stuff is so weird. I'm like, God, do I dare? They're going to think I'm crazy. And Spirit's like, no, they won't. Some might, but some definitely won't.
Like it'll completely land. They'll be like, thank you. Thank you for being courageous and bold enough to say that. That makes so much sense to me. I think it's so funny. I think it's great. I think it's great. So where was I even going? Soul Yoga, the book, and this whole chakra series. If you don't buy the book, I still love you. I just think it's a great resource to have. It's not meant to be a one-time look. It's supposed to be a remembering of who you are and what you're capable of and what's holding you back and what can compel you forward. And to not lose sight of that, not lose sight of the incredible soul that you are in this incarnation. You're here. You have purpose. You do. You do, because you're here. You're here, which is cool. Cool for me. Very cool for me. So I'm asking Spirit, you can tell, I know you can. Like, is there more? Spirit's like, there's always more, Constance. So I'm hearing from angelic realm and high guides too, that when you tune in to your chakra system to help yourself unravel misfires or thwarted energy, just call on the angels and the highest of the high and your high guides to assist you in any kind of recalibration or healing. They will show up for you. Follow the promptings of your soul senses, right? Know that they're always around you, guiding, keeping, protecting. They are, but they're going to give some directives. So you might have to make some changes in your life. And then if you don't, that's on you. Aren't I awful to tell you that? But it's true. I told you that when I worked one-on-one with clients, I would give them powerful information that came through, but they didn't always have the courage to follow it. And I would always say, listen, get help outside yourself, so that you can have the courage to make some life changes that that have been bombarding you, that the soul, you generally know what's best for you and what you need to do. I just think we don't always listen or want to take a chance. I'm glad I have through my life. And the times I haven't, and I cowered, those times set me back. I wish I would have started all this ages ago. I have no regrets I do have some. I do have some regrets for, wasted time, lost time. Yeah. It's because in those moments I was unhappy. I was really unhappy with my life. Like, oh my gosh, because I gave up so much of my career at various times, but not doing that anymore. So I wonder if you're like me, if there's parts of you gave up to fit in, be a part of, whatever. And I want you to reclaim you. I want you to reclaim the real you, because we come in with special gifts and talents and special ways of thinking and being and doing. And that all matters. That all matters. Do you remember that kid I told you about? Was that in? What episode was that? Was that divine consciousness or cosmic consciousness chakra, that I talked to you about, that kid that came up to me and like transferred that energetic information that I'm like, what did you even put in my field? And I very clearly got, I won't know until it's needed. But he did that so that I could teach it, so that when it was a she, so that when she was older, it would already be part of the human consciousness. It was a she. But then there was that little boy too. I think he was doing the same thing. So funny. It's so funny. And then, oh yeah, I haven't seen you since then. Then, weirdness, my daughter and I went and caught the new Emily Blunt movie called whatever day. I don't remember. And I was like, wow, it had to do with, aliens, and it's a Steven Spielberg movie, just out in 2026. And I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense to me. I don't want to give any giveaways. It's a great movie. It's a great movie. Very cool. Plus, I'm a huge fan of Emily Blunt. Huge fan. She's so cool. But there were parts of that movie that I was like, this is so good. This is so freaking good.
So, yeah, of course. I haven't even told you about my off-planet being connections. Maybe I'll tell you that in the weeks ahead. I think I might, because I don't have a ton of content on that. I think I've told you some stories, like when they commissioned me to write a book, and then I said no, I wanted to rewrite my soul contract. And so then I renegotiated it and like broke the promise. And then later found out it was really having to do with material that would have helped people on the spectrum. And I was like, wish I would have written it, but maybe someone else has, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I should tell you about that because I feel like there's a big people group in the audience listening, watching, that aren't from here. I don't think we're all here on this planet as our original home. I think we come in from other sectors, if you will. I'm excited to talk to you about those things. So, stuff like this, I think that's what the journey of soul yoga brings you to, is what is your truth, no matter how seemingly outlandish or odd it might be to someone else. It's true for you. It's accurate for you. I mean, that's where, when I was studying Reiki and teaching Reiki, and when I went into the chakras, which is where my foray into that, or not foray, my real greater understanding of the chakra system came from, was my studies and then my work. I mean, my studies were only like me, myself and I, was spirit and doing the work, like hands-on, right? Because I've never read a chakra book. I haven't read any chakra books. I rather not read books because I don't want to have their books in my head when I'm writing books, because I feel like I've really been commissioned to write a lot of books on topics of spirit, and I don't want to read other people's stuff as much. But I remember when I was doing the work with the chakra system, I was realizing, these are the spaces where it's important for people to ascertain their truth, to live their life, That's the biggest thing. Know thyself. That's the biggest thing. And honor thyself. And I think that's what soul yoga is about. It's trying to get you to know yourself on this deeper level through these themed topics in your life that happen to be stored in the chakra system, the 12 chakra system, so that you can be the best possible version of you. Spirit just said, thanks for tuning in. So I think that's where I'll end. Thanks for tuning in.